March 15th, 44 BC, a day that would change the course of history. This was a day drenched in betrayal, ambition, and the collapse of a republic. This is the story of the Ides of March. Rome, at the time, was the heart of an empire in all but name. Officially, it was still a republic, ruled by the Senate and various magistrates. But in reality, one man held supreme power, and that man was Julius Caesar. But how did Caesar rise to such power? His journey began decades earlier. Born into a patrician family in 100 BC, he was politically ambitious from a young age. He aligned himself with the Populares, a faction that championed the rights of the common people, and positioned himself against the elite optimates, who controlled the Senate. His early political career was marked by bold moves. He defied the dictator Sulla, survived political exile, and climbed the ranks through military and administrative roles. His charm, intelligence, and ability to connect with the masses made him a rising star. One of Caesar's most significant maneuvers was the forming of the First Triumvirate in 60 BC, a secret political alliance with the wealthy Crassus and the powerful general Pompey. This unofficial coalition allowed him to secure the consulship in 59 BC, where he pushed through key reforms, benefiting his allies and the people of Rome. He was then granted command over Gaul, a province that would become the proving ground for his military genius. Over the next decade, Caesar waged a brutal and brilliant campaign in Gaul, expanding Rome's territory and cementing his reputation as one of history's greatest generals. His conquest of Gaul brought him immense wealth and loyalty from his legions, an army that would soon march on Rome itself. However, Caesar would soon learn that power breeds enemies. The Senate, wary of his growing influence, ordered him to disband his army and to return to Rome as a private citizen. This was a political death sentence. Caesar faced a choice: submit to the Senate's authority, or take Rome by force. Caesar did not cement his name into history by opting for a forced retirement. In 49 BC, standing on the banks of the Rubicon, he uttered the legendary phrase, "Alea iacta est," the die is cast, and led his legions across the river. This act of defiance ignited a civil war against Pompey and the Senate. Pompey, caught off guard, fled Rome and gathered his forces in Greece. After a series of battles, Caesar ultimately defeated Pompey at Pharsalus in 48 BC. After his defeat, Pompey then fled to Egypt, hoping for refuge. But Egypt, ruled by the young pharaoh Ptolemy XIII and his sister Cleopatra, had its own political struggles. Seeing Pompey as a liability, Ptolemy's advisors made a ruthless decision. As Pompey stepped ashore, he was ambushed and assassinated, his severed head presented to Caesar when he arrived days later. Instead of gratitude for killing his political opponent, Caesar reacted with outrage at the dishonorable murder of a Roman consul. In the aftermath, Caesar found himself entangled in Egypt's internal power struggle. Cleopatra, seeking to reclaim her throne from her brother Ptolemy, saw an opportunity and famously had herself smuggled into Caesar's chambers wrapped in a carpet. The two then became allies, both politically and romantically. With Caesar's support, Cleopatra's forces defeated Ptolemy's army at the Siege of Alexandria, solidifying her rule. With Pompey dead and Egypt secured as an ally, Caesar's dominance over Rome was nearly complete. He left Egypt with Cleopatra by his side and continued his campaign, crushing the remnants of Pompey's forces in North Africa and in Spain. By 46 BC, he returned to Rome not as a general, but as its undisputed ruler. Politically, it is debated among historians whether Caesar was successful, or whether he secured his own demise. Caesar pardoned many of his former enemies, giving them positions in government to ensure stability. However, some of these same people he promoted would return to visit vengeance upon him. Caesar worked to reshape Rome's administration, filling the Senate with his supporters, passing reforms that appealed to the lower classes, and extending Roman citizenship to more provinces. He presented himself as a man of the people, even as he consolidated absolute power. By 46 BC, he was named dictator for 10 years. But that wasn't enough. 2 years later, the Senate declared him Dictator Perpetuo, dictator for life. To many, this was alarming. Rome had once been ruled by kings, but after overthrowing the last of them, Tarquin the Proud, centuries earlier, the idea of absolute rule was despised. Caesar's power terrified the Senate. He ignored traditions, appointed allies to key positions, and even reformed the calendar, giving us the Julian calendar we still use today. But his greatest offense was acting like a king. This was alarmingly brought to the attention of everyone at the Roman religious festival of Lupercalia. At this festival, Mark Antony dramatically offered Caesar a crown. Twice, Caesar refused to the cheers of crowds in the streets. Many believe this crowning ceremony was staged. Others believe it was a test of public opinion. Either way, the damage was done. Many senators now feared Caesar wanted to be king. After Caesar's political stunt, a conspiracy formed. At its heart were men who had once been close to Caesar. The plotters included several big political names in Rome. They included the general and senator Gaius Cassius Longinus. Another major name in this plot was a key supporter of Caesar during the Gallic Wars and in his fight against Pompey, Decimus Brutus. Additionally, the leadership of this plot was joined by Marcus Junius Brutus, a man whose ancestors had helped overthrow the monarchy centuries ago, and whom Caesar treated like a son. But now, he held a dagger. As the conspiracy against him took shape, Caesar had been warned. A soothsayer allegedly said to him to beware the Ides of March. The night before, his wife Calpurnia had nightmares of his murder, yet he ignored them all. In the morning, on March 15th, he made his way to the Senate. The moment he entered, the trap was sprung. One of the senators, Lucius Tullius Cimber, approached, pleading for his exiled brother. When Caesar dismissed him, Cimber grabbed his toga, a signal. Blades flashed. The first strike missed its mark. Then another, and another. Chaos erupted as over 60 senators plunged their daggers into Rome's ruler, Julius Caesar. According to legend, Caesar's last words were "Et tu, Brute?" You too, Brutus. Whether he actually said it is debated. Many now believe he likely either said nothing, or the Greek phrase, kai su teknon, you too, child. Much can be discussed over the veracity of what his final words were. But the betrayal was undeniable. Caesar, the greatest man in Rome, was dead. Ironically pooled in his own blood at the foot of a statue of his old political rival, Pompey. The conspirators expected to be hailed as liberators. Instead, they found Rome in chaos. In this erupting turmoil, Mark Antony, Caesar's ally, seized control. In a powerful funeral speech, he turned the people against the assassins, branding them as murderers. Riots broke out. The Republic was unraveling. Brutus and Cassius fled Rome, gathering legions in the east, preparing for the final confrontation. In 42 BC, the decisive battle took place at Philippi in Greece. The legions of Mark Antony and Octavian, the adopted heir of Julius Caesar, clashed with those of Brutus and Cassius in a brutal two-part engagement. The first battle saw Cassius's forces overwhelmed, and in the chaos, believing Brutus had been defeated as well, Cassius took his own life. Brutus, however, fought on, determined to avenge Cassius's mistake. But in the second battle, Antony's tactical brilliance and Octavian's growing leadership proved too strong. Brutus's forces collapsed. With honor guiding his final moments, he fell on his own sword, ending the last hopes of the Republican cause. The Ides of March was meant to save the Republic by eliminating Caesar, who many thought was becoming a despotic king. However, instead of saving the Republic, the Ides of March ensured its doom. Julius Caesar was gone, but his legacy endured in Octavian, better known to history as Caesar Augustus, and the new Roman Empire that he created, undoubtedly shaping history forever. Thank you for joining me today on History Imperium. I created this channel around a year ago, posting shorts about interesting historical topics. Now, after this channel has grown somewhat, I'll be still creating shorts, but will also be devoting my efforts towards creating new, longer-form videos, in order to provide you with a more in-depth and entertaining experience. Alright, here it comes. If you enjoyed today's video, it would mean a lot to me and this channel to like, subscribe, and comment about either what you enjoyed or what topics you would like me to delve into in future content. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.